islands of the Bahamas. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
The following portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm Keishla Adderley. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news tonight, NIB Director Algernon Cargill has been placed on administrative leave. This latest action comes after a series of allegations against him were forwarded from NIB's board to the government. According to Cargill's attorney, Alfred Sears, Mr. Cargill received a letter yesterday in which the NIB chairman, Gregory Moss, writes that he was acting on the direction of the National Insurance Minister, Shane Gibson, to relieve Cargill of his duties pending the report of an independent investigation. The leave reportedly takes effect immediately. Now, we understand this latest development has prompted Mr. Cargill to take legal action. Mr. Sears says he's been given instructions by his client to file action in court to review the legality of what's taken place. A man was found apparently shot and killed in bushes in Pinewood Gardens today near Pinecrest Street. Police from the crime scene unit were there when ZNS arrived, conducting preliminary investigations. They reported that the body appeared to have been at the site for less than 12 hours when they found it this morning. Officer in charge of the Homicide Division, Assistant Superintendent Solomon Cash, spoke with us at the scene.
Around 9 a.m. this morning, officers at the Southeastern Division, they received information that a lifeless body was found at a dirt road which runs east of Pinecrest Drive at Pinewood Gardens. The officers, they came to the scene shortly thereafter, and they discovered the lifeless body of a dark male which was lying in bushes with what appeared to be apparent gunshot wounds to the body. EMS personnel were called in. They examined the body and they confirmed that the body did, in fact, succumb to those injuries. The investigation thus far is in the initial phase. We are uncertain as to who did it and why it happened, but the team currently, they are out presently conducting additional inquiries.
In other news tonight, a recent call for the government to consider extending the grouper season until early in the new year is sparking a fuss between some environmental organizations and fishermen. Our Charisma Robinson tells us that the environmental organizations do not agree that a short-term economic gain would be worth it, even though some fishermen say the hardships they're experiencing justify the postponement.
Both the Bahamas National Trust and the Bahamas Reef Environment Educational Foundation are rejecting a recent call made by President of the Bahamas Commercial Fishers Alliance President Adrian Larota to shorten the close season to allow for the harvesting of gravid grouper. The annual close season for grouper is set to begin on December 1st, 2012 and end on February 28th, 2013. Instead, Mr. Larota is proposing that the season be closed in January 2013. However, the environmental groups are not having it.
And everyone must understand that grouper is endangered across its range throughout the Caribbean. It's been wiped out in most countries. It is no longer commercially viable to fish for grouper. The Bahamas has been visionary. We've established a closed season, and we encourage the government to stick to that.
In countries like Jamaica and Bermuda, what they've found is that if an aggregation site disappears, it doesn't come back, at least in our lifetime. So we are very close to that point of no return.
Mr. Larota wants the government to consider shortening the close season as fishermen have been experiencing some hardships due to poor weather conditions. But Kerry believes that a short-term economic gain at the expense of spawning groupers would not be worth the long-term impact that would come as a result.
The conditions that were outlined by the Bahamas Commercial Fishers Alliance are conditions we will be faced with every year. Hurricanes, tropical storms, winter weather, etc. Groupers also face the same hardships every year, and to continue to encourage the harvesting of gravid females, groupers that have spawned and are now carrying potential offspring, It is a no-brainer. It is foolhardy. It is playing Russian roulette with the future of the species.
But fishermen here at the Montague Fish Ramp are standing behind the BCFA president.
Fishermen has been going through a whole lot, through the process of the weather and all that stuff like that. So it kind of make it difficult for us to survive, But in the same token, you still have to preserve.
You can deplete them grouper. Once the foreigners come in now, them foreigners come in, the poachers, they'll hit them bad. But if you got guys who produce in the fish pot, and then few fishermen off of Montague Ramp, one is a handful.
But at the end of the day, the environmental groups say shortening the closed season takes away from the great strides that have been made to protect the Bahamas grouper population. They say the Bahamas should instead be moving forward toward a permanent closed season supported by legislation, so the grouper is protected throughout its reproductive period as one part of an effort to restore it to its former population level. Meantime, Lorota is maintaining his position on the matter and is hoping that the government hears his consideration. He says a 30-day extension will not negatively impact the grouper stocks. Charisma Robinson, ZNS Network News.
About 200 Free National Movement Council members from throughout the country have converged in the capital to choose a new national chairman and deputy chairman. Now, that meeting is set to get underway within the hour at the party's Mackey Street headquarters. Darren Cash has been serving as acting national chairman since the death of former chairman Charles Maynard. He says he's ready to reconnect with voters the party lost.
We have the benefit of having a strong new leader who is very, very committed, in Dr. Hubert Minnis. He's focused on what the organization needs to do. Contrary to reports that circulate from time to time about people not supporting, the reality is that the overwhelming majority of officers and executives in the organization are fully behind the leader. That includes me, and we're determined to work together to make sure that we return to the government in 2017, if not before.
Dion Folks is also running for the position of national chairman, but he declined comment ahead of tonight's vote. Running for the deputy chairman position are Fenton Nemore and Brenzel Roll, who are both confident they have what it takes to get the party on track to secure another term as the governing party.
I think what is critical is that we demonstrate moving forward that the Free National Movement is a party that stands strong in terms of principles like democracy. One of the things that the PLP is falling down on right now is merely the fact that they have forgotten some basic democratic principles like transparency, accountability, freedom of speech. Those are things that are critical in supporting a government. And we now have the referendum coming up, which is falling apart on them primarily because they haven't consulted the people first.
Brenzel Roll said via a telephone interview that if elected, he intends to rebuild the organization and form a coalition to reach out to young people and see what role they can play in the party, particularly since there is a need to reconnect with young voters. Hundreds of College of the Bahamas students and residents of the Bainstown community got tested today for HIV, the virus which can lead to AIDS. Participants not only got tested but were educated about the disease, which kills thousands every year, and how it's transmitted. Right now, 3% of the Bahamian population is infected with HIV, and UNAIDS lists the hardest hit group as those between 15 and 44. Through testing, HIV deaths have declined, and that's why it's important to know your status.
It's obvious that our teenagers are actively involved in sex. That's common knowledge. I don't think that anyone would say that's taboo. So it's good to know your status, because if we can prevent sexual intercourse from happening among my teens, among my peers, then the best thing to do then is to make it so that people know their statuses, so that they won't spread any infectious diseases that may be in our society, like HIV and AIDS. So it's good to be aware.
I feel like our age, we are very vital to our country as relates to youth, because we impact the country on a really major level. And I feel that knowing our status and taking responsibility in how we behave sexually, we can help our country's status overall.
Well, I think it's important because college students it's a large demographic, and we're promoting KISS, Know Your Status, so we can help educate the population on having safer sex.
A lot of people aren't aware of their status, and I think it's very important that they do become aware so that they can take better care of themselves in preventing and from spreading the disease across to people who aren't deserving of it.
The sale of online Junkanoo tickets begins tomorrow for all three major parades. Chairman of the Junkanoo Committee of New Providence, Silbert Ferguson, says Junkanoo prices have remained the same for the last 4 years due to the downturn in the economy, and that spectators can expect similar rates this season.
The Junior Junkanoo Parade, the tickets are the same as last year. It's $10 for the open arena, and for Rawson Square they are $20. For the senior parades, the prices have remained the same. From Frederick to Charlotte, it's $15. From Charlotte to Parliament, $35, and Rawson Square is $45. The Cabinet parking lot area is $35, and we have a new set of seats, 500 additional seats on Bay Street that are placed at the Kelly's dock area. You can see that they are installed already. Additional 500 seats that were moved from the city parking lot area on Shirley Street, and those tickets will be $15 as well.
Now, Mr. Ferguson noted that the New Year's Day parade is often poorly attended. He's encouraging persons to support all of the events and their favorite Junkanoo groups, of course. In the meantime, Mr. Ferguson said that all of the groups are gearing up for activities making up the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture's 12 Days of Junkanoo.
I know the first one that we are pointing our fingers to right now is November 29th. That is the lighting of the Christmas tree. That's going to be an exciting program. I'll tell you why. Because for the first time, Junkanoo groups, the A Division groups, are going to have the opportunity to practice in the arena before the parade. And so all of the A Division groups have the opportunity of getting into Bay Street on the night of the 29th of November. The minute that tree is lit, Junkanoo is going to just pulsate down Bay Street.
Sounds good. Well, online tickets can be purchased at www.junkanootix.com, and walk-up tickets will be sold starting December 1st at the Kendall Isaacs Gym or Festival Place at the Prince George Dock. Well, when we come back, we'll tell you what this ceremony is all about. Stay tuned.